Hey guys, Mr. Burns here with your video for lesson 7.4, the coordinate plane. By the end of this video, I hope you guys can graph points on the coordinate plane. Alright, the coordinate plane is created by two number lines. The horizontal number line, is called the x-axis. The vertical number line is called the y-axis. The two number lines cross each other at 0. This point of intersection is called the origin. The y-axis, or the x-axis, and the y-axis divide the coordinate plane into 4 parts. The parts are called quadrants. Starting at the top right-hand quadrant and moving counterclockwise, they are named Quadrant 1, Quadrant 2, Quadrant 3, and Quadrant 4. Each point on a coordinate plane is identified by an ordered pair, which has two numbers inside parentheses. The first number represents the x-coordinate, so it relates to the x-axis. The second number represents the y-coordinate, so it relates to the y-axis. The origin is the point 0, 0 because it occurs at 0 on both the x-axis and the y-axis. So in example number 1, it says give the ordered pair for the points graphed on the coordinate plane at the right. So solution. So let's take a look at point A, and I'm going to walk you guys through this and explain it as I go. So point A is right there. So point A is 5 units to the right, okay, on the x-axis. So from the origin, it's 5 units to the right, okay, so plus 5, and 3 units up along the y-axis. Right there at A. Point B, I'll choose a different color. So for point B, okay, has no movement along the x-axis, so it doesn't go to the right or to the left, so its value for the x-coordinate is 0. But it does go 3 points down on the y-axis, so -3. So its second number, okay, the y-coordinate is -3. Point C is right there. So from the origin, it's 2 units to the left of the origin on the x-axis and 4 units up on the y-axis. And stops right there. So its coordinates are -2, +4. And then for point D, right there, from the origin, it's 4 units left along the x-axis, okay, and then goes down on the y-axis and ends up at -1. So there you go. So we'll have a chance, you guys will have a chance to review that and go over that with me on the tiered lesson. But I thought I'd go over this with you guys before we get too far into the reading. Okay, next page. Okay, so on the top of this page, it says when ordered pairs have coordinates that are not integers, the points may not lie on the grid lines of the graph, depending on the scale used. So for example number 2, we've got some fractions here. So it says graph the points T with coordinates 2.5 and -5, and point L with coordinates -3.5, -1.5 on the coordinate plane. So it says point T is 2.5 units to the right and 5 units down. So point T is 2.5 units to the right. So you go all the way to 2 and go about the halfway mark, and then go 5 units down. So it's just kind of a guesstimate, really. Okay, and that's point T. And then for point L, okay, we're going to go 3.5 units to the right from the origin, so about 3.5, and then 1.5 units down. So even though it doesn't lay on the grid lines, just plot it where you think it goes. Be as accurate as possible. All right. Okay, says you can find the distance. So right here above example number 3, says you can find the distances between 2 points that have the same x-coordinate or the same y-coordinate by counting units. So then in example number 3, it says Carter created a map of his neighborhood on the coordinate plane where each unit represents 1 block. His house is located at 3-5, so there's Carter's house on the map. His best friend, Joe, lives at 3-2. And then it says, how many blocks do they live apart? So all you have to do, so after they graph the 2 locations, which they do here, it says find the distance, okay, of each point to the x-axis and then add the values. So from here, you've got, it's 5 units from the x-axis to Carter's house, and it's 2 units from the x-axis to Joe's house. So 5 plus 2 more, okay, is 7 altogether. So Joe and Carter live 2 blocks, okay, apart. Points are reflections of each other over the x-axis if the x coordinates are the same and their y coordinates are opposite. So this denotes a reflection over, okay, the x-axis. All right. So if you look at the first point, it's 2, 3. And then its reflection is 2, -3. So the y coordinates are opposites of each other if it's reflected over the x-axis. Let's go to the next page. Now on this page, it says points are reflections of each other over the y-axis if their y coordinates are the same and the x coordinates are opposite. So here you've got this point, 2, 3. Okay, its reflection over the y-axis is this one. So the y coordinates stayed the same, but the 2's became opposites. Okay, and that's reflected over the y-axis. And we'll plot some more of those when we get to the tiered lesson. On example number 4, it says point V is at 3.4, -7, and point W is at -2, -9. Part A says, what is the ordered pair for the reflection of point V over the y-axis? Okay. And then it says for part B, what is the ordered pair for the reflection of point W over the x-axis? So just keep in mind what we talked about in the last 2 pages. Okay, and like I said, we'll go over a couple of these on the tiered lesson. All right? Okay, let's jump to the tiered lesson. Okay, so here we are on the tiered lesson for lesson 7.4, the coordinate plane. So numbers 1 through 6, it says write the ordered pair for each point on the coordinate plane. So here we go, point A, right there. Does it go to the left or to the right along the x-axis? Nope, it does not. And let's label the x-axis. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So you always start with the x-axis first. So it doesn't move right or left, okay? So that's 0. Does it go up or down from the origin? Nope, it doesn't. So that is the origin, okay? Point B. From the origin, is it to the right or to the left on the number line? It's to the right. And how many spots? So 1, 2, 3. So 3 to the right. And how far up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 up. Okay. Oops. So for point C, okay, so from the origin, is it to the right or to the left? It's to the left. How many spots? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 to the left, so -4. And then how much up? So it's all the way up here at +8. D is right here. So from the origin, is it to the right or to the left? It's to the left of the origin. How many spots? It is 6 spots to the left. And do I go up or down along the y-axis? I do not. So it's 0. E. So from the origin, do I go to the left or to the right to get to point E? I go left. How many spots? All the way over here to -6. And then do I go up or down? Oh, I'm sorry, -5. And then do I go up or down? I go down. How many spots? I go all the way down to -6. Got those mixed up. And then finally for point F, okay, so from the origin, do I go to the right or to the left? I go to the right. How many spots? 7. And then do I go up or down? I go down. How many spots? I go down 3 spots, so -3. So it's always in reference to the origin, okay, always in reference from the origin. Okay, number 7 through 12, it says on the coordinate plane below, graph and label the following ordered pairs. So here we go for this one, number 7, point F. So point F, I'm going to go 4 units to the right of the origin, and then 2 units up. So from the origin, 4 to the right and 2 up, and that plants me at point F. For point L, okay, I'm not going to go to the left or to the right. I'm going to stay right there at the origin. Okay, so 0. And then 8 tells me I'm going to go 4 units up. So from the origin, I'm not going to go to the right or to the left, but I'm going to go up 8 spots. And that's point L. Number 9, point O, has coordinates 0, 0. So from the origin, I'm not going to go to the right or to the left, and I'm not going to go up or down. So origin O. Number 10. On number 10, we've got point W, negative 6 and 7. So negative 6 to the left, and then 7 up. So from the origin, 6 to the left and 7 up. And that plots me right here. For number 11, point E, I'm going to go negative 4 to the left and negative 9 down. So from the origin, I'm going to go 4 to the left and 9 down. And that's point E. And last but definitely not least, point R, I'm going to go 6 to the right and negative 5, so down 5. So from the origin, 6 to the right and 5 down. That lands me right there for point R. And there you go. Moving on to the next page. Okay, so for number 13, it says point A is located at negative 6, 3, and point B is located at 2, 6. Graph the 2 points on the coordinate plane. So let's go ahead and do that. So point A is negative 3 to the left, and then 6 up. So from the origin, 3 to the left, and 6 up. And there's point A. Point B is located 2 to the right and 6 up. So from the origin, 2 to the left, 2 to the right and 6 up. That's point B. And then it says graph the 2 points on the coordinate plane. It says what is the distance from point A to point B? So if I want to find the distance from point A to point B, all I have to do is add the absolute value of their x coordinate. So the absolute value of negative 3 plus the absolute value of 2. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3, plus the absolute value of 2, which is 2, and that is 5. So it's 5 units. Okay, so that's the answer for B. Okay, so for number 14, I'm actually going to plot number 14's points up here in this coordinate plane. It helps me visually to understand what's going on, and it also helps me to explain this better to you guys. So it says, what is the distance between point, we're going to call this point C with coordinates 110, and coordinates D with, point D with coordinates 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a different color here. So let's go and plot these. So point C is at 110, so from the origin, I'm going to go 1 to the right and 10 up. Plot that bad boy, and that's point C. And then point D is 1 to the right of the origin and 6 up. Right there. Now, in order to find the distance between these 2 points, we're actually going to have to subtract their y coordinates. So we're going to go 10 minus 6, and 10 minus 6 is 4. So they're 4 units apart. Okay, and that's along the y-axis. Okay, so for number 15, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to choose a different color here to plot these points. We'll choose, let's see, kind of a dark orangey color. There we go. Yeah, dark orangey color. So on this one, it says, what is the distance between, we'll call this point E with coordinates 5, negative 4, and point F with coordinates negative 3, negative 4. So it's going to plot those points, and then we'll find their distance. So from the origin, for point E, I'm going to go 5 to the right and negative 4 down. We'll call that point E. For point F, I'm going to go 3 to the left and 4 down. Okay, and that's point F. Now let's go ahead and calculate their distance. So just like with number 3, we're going to add the absolute values of the x coordinate. So the absolute value of 5 plus the absolute value of negative 3. Do this, and you use this method when they're lying along the opposite, when they're at different coordinates like this, along an axis. Okay, so anyways, so you add their absolute values when they're on in different coordinates. Okay, so here we go. So the absolute value of 5 is 5, and the absolute value of negative 3 is 3, and 5 plus 3 is 8. So these guys are 8 units apart. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at number 16. On number 16, it says the point 8,3 is reflected over the x-axis. Graph its reflection and give the ordered pair for the reflected point. So let's go and plot this point. So from the origin, I'm 8 to the right and 3 up. Okay, let's call this point P. Okay, so point P. And it says it's reflected over the x-axis. So if it's reflected over the x-axis, it's going to have the same x-coordinate, which is 8. And then it's going to have the opposite y-coordinate. So instead of positive 3, it's going to be negative 3. So from the origin, I'm going to go 8 to the right and then go 3 down. And we'll call this point P, A, B, C, P, Q. We'll call this point Q. Okay, so that's its reflection. So point Q has coordinates 8, negative 3, and it is the reflected point for point P. Okay, that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, make sure you ask the teacher. Otherwise, that's it. Mr. Burns, out.